they'll like run down off the mountain a little bit, and then they'll hook up around, and then they'll get way up high and watch where they came from. They'll do that a lot. They're really sneaky, clever. And but if you're in an area that's highly pressured, or if there's a shit ton of coyotes everywhere, if you dump them, they'll just run for like 2 miles or 3 miles in a straight line, you know? But I mean, I think for me personally, now where I'm at as a tracker, when I jump them and don't get them, and it's not like 5 minutes till dark, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to kill that buck.
Welcome back to Hunt the Season. On this one here, I sat down actually back in like I think it was like June or July timeframe that I sat down with Izaak Young from the Big Buck Theory. One of the hosts from the Big Buck Theory. Really, really good podcast. Focused on tracking buck in the snow with rifles, but he does hunt a good amount with archery too. It was just a really good chat. And I figured the best time to drop this episode is the first Monday of rifle, which traditionally would have been the opening day of rifle season in Pennsylvania here. This one, we talk all about rifle, the tendencies of big buck, even when you bump deer. Informative episode and good conversation with Izaak all about rifle hunting, tracking deer in the big woods. But it was a really fun chat. Make sure you go into the description of the podcast and the video on YouTube. Check out the affiliates, Code of Silence, Latitude Outdoors. Check out Campco. Use code HTS. The codes will be in the description. Also, if you want to get your deer aged, if you got a deer this year and you want to get him or her aged, go use code HTS for deer age. That'll get your deer age. I'll save you 10% off your order. Want to thank you guys for listening, all support over the years. Also want to wish you the best of luck and hopefully you had an amazing Thanksgiving. Hopefully you enjoyed the family time. Hopefully you enjoyed like every second of family time. It's the best thing ever. It's what actually makes hunting even better, family time. So hopefully you guys had a good opening weekend. I'm going to be off a lot come run season, so stay tuned and good luck, guys. See you.
Well, I'm Izaak Young. I'm from Vermont, and I still live in Vermont, born and raised, and I love to deer hunt.
Yeah, like, by your wall, I can definitely tell. I mean, there's the one tier, it'd be to your right.
This one?
No, the other
this,
one up.
This one?
The very up top there. It looks like a
Yep.
5. Is that a 5 point?
Yep, that's
Like
a 5
big, Jeez, man, that's a big 5 point.
Yep, I'll have to tell you now, or I'll forget.
Yeah.
We'll get off topic. But I killed that buck last year in New Hampshire with a gun, and I actually had that buck at 13 yards on September 16th, the second day of bow season last year. And I learned a very valuable lesson about drawing early, because he was coming down the ridge at me, and I was in my saddle in a tree, and it looked like he was going to go right down this trail that they had all hooked up. There's like probably 100 rubs down this one little bench where they were feeding the acorns. And instead of going where I thought he was going to go, he came straight at the tree I was in. So if he would have went down the trail I thought he was going to go down, he would have walked right behind this little hemlock tree I was going to draw and plunk him at 12 yards. But instead, he walked right to the base of my tree, and I had him at 13 yards, and I hadn't had my bow drawn yet. And I'm like just caught with my pants down, completely. And he got away. He like looked up at me, and his eyes got like this big, and he turned around and ran. And then November 14th, I went back in like probably a half a mile away from there on the same ridge. And there was this one scrape line that was being worked really good. And I was killed a buck the day before in Massachusetts with my bow. So I had a really late start on the 14th. And I was like, I'm just going to drive over to New Hampshire, get up on that ridge around noon, take my time, eat some breakfast, whatever. And I'm going to sit on that scrape line for the rest of the night. And 4 o'clock, he comes right up through, checking the scrapes, and I shot him. But yeah, he's kind of a cool deer.
Yeah. So with New Hampshire, what's the because here in PA we have a antler restriction where it's like 3 on one side, and then the other the western part, which is weird. It's like 3 up on one side, not counting the brow tine. So what's a New Hampshire law on them?
Anything goes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, spike horns. There's no AR in New Hampshire.
Okay. Do you see? So how often do you hunt New Hampshire?
I hunt New Hampshire a lot. New Hampshire is probably my favorite place.
Okay.
I really like Vermont. I really value Vermont because it's my stomping grounds, my home state. But New Hampshire is pretty wild in the sense of there's a lot of ground and there's a lot of big mountains, and it takes a special guy to even want to hunt it.
Mhm.
So there's pressure. Don't get me wrong. Some areas more than not, but you can really get away from people. And I really like that. I really like hunting that big, gnarly ground and, big fourth. I mean, New Hampshire is incredible. There's 46, 4,000 plus mountains in the Adirondacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big area.
Yeah.
In New Hampshire, I want to say there's 48.
Really?
So there is 48 4,000 footers in a kind of a small area.
Yeah.
So, as you can imagine, you drive through certain sections and it really does look kind of like the Swiss Alps.
I guess I never really thought of it up there. Like I always obviously PA has a lot of being from PA, we have a lot of public down here. There's a lot of mountains. Like our highest elevation that I've hunted was 2,600. So I mean that's a decent sized mountain. Mm-hmm. And then you have ones out in Allegheny probably close to 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really, I guess in my mind, because I never really looked at it, like New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts. I never thought of big mountains up there. Yeah. Now, are those the 3 that you primarily hunt?
Yeah, so I hunt the Adirondacks. I also go down to the Catskills every once in a while. There's some big mountains down there. Massachusetts, I hunt Mass, and then Maine as well. Okay. So pretty much all up in the northeastern corner. Mm-hmm. I've been elsewhere too. I've been to Ohio a handful of times when I was younger. But yeah, there's something about when you get into the 4,000 footers. Vermont has 7 4,000 footers. So I mean, we have some in Rutland County, the county that I live in. It's one of the most mountainous counties in the state. I mean, we have, for example, our most famous mountain is Killington, and that is a big ski mountain. It's the second highest mountain in the state. So there's some really good ranges around here, but there's something different about the really big mountains because it weeds out so many people. It's just so big that most people just can't even, we don't have a lot of these big mountains. There's no roads. We don't have roads to the tops of these mountains. There's roads maybe a quarter of the way up or maybe halfway up on some of them. But after that, there is no roads. It's just high, spruce peaked mountains with boulders and ledges and kind of, as you can imagine, pretty wild country.
That's what I love too down here. It's I've grew up hunting the ag land, flat land, hilly type stuff here in Lancaster, Lebanon County. I hunted that for years, didn't really have any success there. And then going to the mountains, I feel I don't want to say the mountain hunting is necessarily easier because it's a lot harder. But yet it's, I don't know, you find more joy in it than just going up and trying to hunt funnels to a field, right? It's you got to figure out these deer. And the scouting to me, the process behind getting in the big woods and scouting, that's the fun part to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. I just like to be in the mountains. And I mean, it's funny because scouting in a lot of the big ground that I hunt in either New Hampshire or the Adirondacks or Vermont, I mean, a lot of it is just staying in shape almost because the bucks will literally be in such a small little area in the summertime that I mean, if you do kind of figure out where they're at this time of year, it really doesn't do you any good. I actually think a lot of times the bucks this time of year are really high. So they're really, really high up. They're up in that green growth. And, I don't know if they're staying away from bugs or if they're staying cool up there. There's a lot of vegetation up there. But I've always been under the impression that, like let's say running cameras, if you're getting pictures of bucks this time of year, especially in the big stuff, that's not a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good sign around here because that's just not where they're at when you're hunting them.
Yeah.
But
I kind of had, because last year, so I feel like I run way too many cameras, to be honest, like standard SD cams. Like I run 33 is what I have out right now.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. They're a little addicting, to be honest. I just like getting pictures of these, like checking them and getting pictures of buck and like all that kind of stuff. Like even bear, like getting pictures of like massive bear, like that's pretty exciting to me.
Oh yeah.
But like, so last summer around this time frame, I checked my camera. Now we had a drought last summer, so I kind of am talking myself out of what I'm thinking. I had this camera near water, and I had a bunch of big velvet buck.
Right.
And now this year, at the same time, I don't really have that, and I'm like, I'm getting down on myself. But then it's like, okay, let's think about this. Maybe they were there because that drought was going on. They need to be near water so they can continue to stay hydrated because there wasn't water anywhere else. So it's like, but that was near that, like kind of like that mid mountain, not really up to the top.
Yep.
But there was still greenery around all that water right there. So yeah, I mean, the summertime pictures of buck, I do agree with you that I think they're up higher right now.
Yeah, for sure. And they don't go far right now either. They just don't. They just don't go that far, and that's. I mean, I've seen it in the past where you'll get pictures of bucks in the summer, and then he'll be kind of in the similar area in the fall. But seems like almost every time, if you're getting pictures of a buck in the summertime, he's gone. When it's, September even, but. I guess it just kind of depends on what kind of ground you're hunting, I think. But definitely, I'm with you there. I really enjoy the scouting and just being out there and enjoying it, just enjoying the outdoors. I mean, that's why we do it.
Yep. Until you run into rattlesnakes. I'm going to go rattlesnakes up there. Man, I ran into one and I was like, and then like I went out and to make sure some cameras were actually taking pictures properly. And like I come across this like it's like obviously dry leaves, and then like there's a bunch of like bark laying on the ground. I'm like, oh my god, this looks like a snake would like live in this stuff. And I'm trying to walk through. I'm like, I don't really want to walk through this. It looks like it'd be snakes would live right there. But luckily I didn't run into anything else. So I'm pretty much done. Like after recording this on July 8th, like I'm done. Let my camera just soak until probably going there and hunt, because I have making game plans already for like opening weekend and going that route for archery season, because I think it's either going to happen early or it's going to happen late with the buck. Yeah.
Oh, really? You after a good one?
Yeah. Well, there's a few good one in the area, but this one here, I got like 20 pictures of him in like one core area. And it's like, I got your core area. There's a primary scrape right there. There's a bunch of doe. There's a bunch of food right there. So it's going to happen probably the first 2 weeks, if anything, or late in the season. But yeah, he's definitely a once in a lifetime type buck.
Oh, that's cool. That's always fun when you're on a good one like that.
Oh yeah. So Izaak, let's get your background here. So let's get, how you got into hunting. What was like your intro into hunting?
Oh, so my dad is definitely a nut when it comes to hunting. He loves it. So, I mean, pretty much my earliest memories were hunting with my dad. I used to sit on his boots in his tree stand. Like not even joking. Like I would sit on his boots when I was 3, 4, 5, like that time frame. Turkey hunting, he would bring me, and I would just kind of hide in his vest, and like he'd be working a bird, and I'd just be like peeking out of his vest, Like literally some of the earliest memories I have are hunting. And then I killed my first deer when I was 6 with him. So, I've been pretty much hunting my whole life. And he took me, like I said, when I was just a little guy. So I kind of came by it really organically in that sense.
Now I know that because I've watched a bunch of your YouTube videos. So like I noticed a lot of them are tracking in like the big, like you said.
Yeah.
So was your dad big into that when you first got into it?
Yeah, so he definitely tracked quite a bit, and he's the one that really like showed me what it was. But we have family property here in Rutland County, and he really loved to hunt our family property. So he didn't track a ton just because he always hunted on our property, and he would always shoot bucks pretty early in the season, first couple days or whatever. And, we have a 200-acre woodlot. So a lot of the surrounding areas is posted. So you can't necessarily really track on that. I guess when he was younger, you could, because none of it was posted. So he could track then. But, he killed a really nice one in New Hampshire tracking when he was younger. But I remember he used to take me when I was just a little guy. He would take me riding roads in the national forests and stuff, looking for tracks, because that was something that I like, for whatever reason, I was just really into that. Like I really wanted to do that, and we would follow tracks and try to track. And then he introduced me to like the Benoit hunting videos. I don't know if you're familiar with those. And that really like lit a fire under my ass. I really just wanted to be a tracker. I don't know. I guess it's a personality thing more than anything. But I think if you talk to enough guys up in this area, the most effective way to target a big buck, single one out and kill them is tracking, just because the density of large bucks, and I'm just going to use Vermont as an example, is extremely low. Like I'm talking we'll do body weight.
Yeah.
The county that I'm in, Rutland County, it's a large county. We will kill 2, maybe 3 bucks over 200 pounds in the entire county.
Wow.
So you can, take with that what you want, but I mean, it's the density of big bucks is just so stinking low that if you're not covering ground, if you're not following big tracks, I mean, it could be there's lots of guys that live their whole lives in this area, hunt their whole lives, and they never kill a buck over 110 inches. It's very common. The record, the Vermont Big Game Trophy Club, it's a good club. They just raised their minimum from 110 to 120. And 110 in Vermont, in my opinion, is still extremely hard to come by. I think last year, I want to say they shot maybe 50, 55 bucks in the entire state of Vermont over 110 inches.
Wow. And what's the hunter number up there? Like how many hunters is there?
I mean, we're one of the highest hunter per, like, for our population, we have one of the highest hunter per capita, in the country. Vermont is like extremely pressured, So Vermont is probably one of the hardest places in the country to kill big deer.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not just saying that because I'm from here. I know everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
But truly, if you just look at the Boone and Crockett records, like we just recently killed our second Boone and Crockett buck.
Wow.
Ever.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that goes to show you anything, I mean, it's just what it is. It's just hard.
The one thing that I really like about, because I talked to Jeff Doyle, and he's tracking 200, all that kind of stuff. Like I know you're a huge fan of Jeff Doyle. I watched one video. Yeah. I think it was I forget which one it was, but like I guess you just got the over the shoulder camera. And you're like doing the Jeff Doyle here.
Yeah.
Jeff Doyle and all that kind of stuff. But like,
yeah,
the one thing I love, like I didn't realize when I talked to him, when he said he was tracking 200, I thought he was looking for a 200-inch deer. I was like, but then like listening back to it, I was like, wait, he's looking for a 200-pound. That I personally love that about like trackers in general. Like they, like you could shoot a like one of those smaller ones on your wall. You could shoot one of those and it could be 200 pounds, but it's just a bigger deer, right? It just depends. Like, and I'm not a big fan of like the inches, to be honest with you. Like I can look at the ones on my wall right now and I'm like, I don't know if any of them, maybe one breaks 100 inches. Here, it's like, it's that 200-pound mark is pretty cool. Like even watching the Just Hunt Club or you know, people up in that area, like the Massachusetts, the Maine, the Michigan, you know, Vermont, like that is so cool to me. Like looking for a 200-pound deer and not a 200-inch deer.
Yeah, it's totally different. That's the benchmark. It's the benchmark that I don't know if the Benoits really made it famous or if it was. I think they're the ones that really made it famous, if I had to guess. But I mean, yeah, we don't get the antlers in the, I guess you'd call it North Country, like you do when you go a little bit farther south. Now there are big deer, but they're extremely hard to find, and they're genetic unicorns and big antlered deers.
Right.
Like, I guess is what I'm getting at. They're very, and that, but then even the 200-pound deer are very hard to come by, you know? So it's, you know, I've hunted my whole life. I've only killed one buck that weighed over 200 and he was 205. And it was a Vermont buck. And, you know, that thing's my pride and joy. I'm hoping to hit 200 again, just because, you know, like I said, it's the benchmark that everybody's trying to hit, but it just takes a special deer. Like, to actually weigh 200 pounds clean dressed. I mean, you're looking at a 250, 260-pound deer live weight. I mean, you know, that, I don't know if you guys weigh your deer dressed out.
We hang them up and we weigh them like that.
Dressed?
I think, dressed. Yeah.
So, like, what's a big deer for PA?
So, I want to say, like, I'm trying to think which one. I think my 8-point, which was kind of weird. Like, I thought he had, like, a big rack, and then I have these other two. My 6-point I got this year, my 9-point, they're much bigger, but their bodies were smaller. He was maybe 150, 160.
Yeah.
So, like, and that was a mountain deer. Now, I know for a fact, like it's kind of funny. Like I had one on camera this past season. Yeah. Dude was like, it looked like he was obese. Like honestly, he had like a little rack like this, like a little 5-point rack, but he was so freaking thick. Like I'm not like muscular thick, like fat, like he was eating a bunch of corn. Yeah. So that guy there would be like 200 pounds, but yet I don't remember anyone saying they got a 200-pound deer in PA unless it's like down like ag country here. That would be it. But like mountains here in PA, like because the food sources are so like hit or just like up there, I'm sure like it's so hit or miss. Like, you know, they could have a good crop year or they could have, you know, whatever. Like it's just hit or miss here in Pennsylvania for 200-pound deer. It's possible, but I think it's hard to find. But it's just like up there.
Yeah, because like I've killed them close. Like I killed one in New Hampshire that was 194.5, and he was huge. I mean, he was like all neck and shoulders. He looked like a Brahma bull. You know, he's just all muscle. But what I've found in like the 200 that I did kill, and the other ones that I've seen in person that other people have killed, it takes length. It doesn't necessarily take the like what it doesn't. It doesn't take like a chubby or strong looking deer. It takes a really long deer to weigh 200. And because that was the one thing that I remember about my 200 is when I hung him up in my garage, his feet were up in the rafters and his nose was still touching the ground. So from his hocks to his nose, it was 8 feet. So like that's where you get that 200. But it's a very, now I have some theories about how we're pretty much eradicating the 200-pound deer from the species, because you think about all the years that guys have been singling out heavy deer, in tracking. You have all these good trackers, generation after generation after generation, only targeting big deer.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that big long deer that has a big track, guys are singling him out when he's 2 years old, killing him. And if a buck weighs 150, 160 at his prime, and he has a smaller track and guys are stepping over him, and he lives for 10 years, you see what I'm saying? Like where the breeding is going to get kind of like the big deer are getting singled out and shot younger than the deer that are smaller. So I almost feel like that's why it's harder and harder to come by, and our winters aren't as hard as they used to be,
Right.
Historically. And I think that's what truly makes for big deer is Laney Benoit told me this is, a lot of your 200s will come from areas that get the most snow, because the deer that survive are the tallest deer. So the tallest deer can get away from predators, and they can reach more food. They can just do, they have a better chance of survival. So therefore their genes are going to be passed, what I mean? So like, without that, without the heavy winters and people singling out the heavy deer, I feel like we're kind of eradicating the heavy, big, long deer from the species. But I don't know. That might be in the weeds a little bit.
No, I mean it sounds like it. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like you don't have their genetics; this can't be passed down to the next generation. Like when you're tracking, like you're looking for not just a big hoof print, you're also looking for that length too, from the back to that front leg. Like you're looking for that length too, because like you just said, like the length is where you get that weight. Now you could have a shorter deer that has a deeper hoof print, but that doesn't mean he's anywhere close to 100. That length, like you said, is where you get that. So when you're tracking, now I'm not, I tracked mine this year. All right.
Oh,
so
nice.
I in the pouring rain, it was actually like I didn't think I was at first, but then I was like, these are tracks going through like the wet leaves, and you could see like the indents. And I don't know if you ever had this too. I wish there was a way I could, like any new hunter, like I wish there was a way I could explain this smell to them. But like I'm following this track, and the wind's coming down in my face. It's raining, it's pouring out, and like all of a sudden I get to this one scrape, and I can smell from above me like the whiff of like, I wouldn't even just say deer, it was buck. Like buck. You could smell it. And it's like
musty.
I smell it. Yeah, it's very musty. It smells like the rut and all that kind of, like it just smells like him. And then I tracked him up to where he was. He just stood up right there, 20-yard shot, dropped him right there. Like that was, and there was 4 other buck with him. I think the bigger one was actually to the left of him.
Wow.
I saw him go up. But yeah, so that was my first like track job, and it wasn't really like, it wasn't that far. So like that was, and now after doing that, it's like, man, now I want to track some more, because once you get that, I feel like once you get that taste, it's like you want more of that.
Oh, I mean, it's the most exciting way to hunt, especially on snow. I mean, on the leaves, that's like legendary status. But I mean, if you're gonna do it, it's like the most engaging, the most probably, without a doubt, the most physically demanding way to hunt a whitetail. There's some days where I put on 12 to 14 miles, on the upper ends, following these bucks around, trying to catch up. Sometimes I'll take an older buck track if it's really big, just because, like I said earlier, it's so hard to come by big deer. When I find there's some guys that will really, really, they'll pound into guys' heads that, and this isn't wrong. Everybody, has their own way of doing it, but they'll pound into guys' heads. You got to get the freshest track possible. And, that's not a bad strategy. But like when I find a big one in, let's say, Vermont, if I think it's like, oh my God, that's like a freaking mega giant, I don't care if it's a week old. I want to see where he goes. I'm going to try to catch up, because who knows? He could have just went over that ridge right there, and he could be locked down with a doe for the last 3 days.
Right.
I've done that. I've taken a 3-day-old track and killed the buck. So, I mean, it is possible, especially when you get later into the season. But one thing I want to bring up, because you were talking about the length and the size of the track, one thing that I really key in on, and a lot of guys key in on, is the stagger of the tracks. So like if you look at the tracks from a doe, it's almost like a straight line, right? And then a smaller buck, there's a little bit of a separation left to right, or maybe even a bigger doe, there's a little bit of a separation left to right. But when you start getting this kind of thing, that's a big buck. And when they start kicking their front feet out, like if you, I've made this observation, but I've also heard other guys say this. So I'm not stealing this, but it is true. If you look at an old cow, and look what their front feet do. They point right out like this. And I think it's because of arthritis and their back starts to sag and everything kind of goes like that. It's kind of like if you look at an old guy's boot tracks walking through the woods, they kick their feet out too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if, if you start seeing that front feet getting kicked out and there's got a big wide separation between the tracks, so we call that stagger.
Okay.
That is a dead giveaway of a big deer.
It's probably because their chest is a little wider too, along with that arthritis too. Like,
Bingo.
They don't want to, if their feet are out here, you don't want to like cross over like you're, crossing over, like that's going to hurt their chest, and their shoulders don't move that way.
When you're on a big buck track, the way I like to describe it is you're following it and you're predicting and you're painting a picture in your head of what that buck was doing in the moment that he laid the tracks. And then the picture that you're painting in your head is going to dictate the speed you go, the stealthiness that you're going. And, because if I'm going through, like when guys are starting out tracking, the biggest mistake, in my opinion, is guys go too slow, and they just never, ever catch up. And in my opinion, if you want to get into tracking, just go fast all the time. Go as fast as you can all the time. Because when you start bumping these bucks, you're going to start to put it together. Oh, I noticed last time when I bumped him, he started to feed a little bit. Or, oh, he took a sharp turn he just walked a mile straight line and then he turned and then I bumped him. You'll start to get those things. So if you go too fast, because like I know when I was younger, I was a banshee. I was like running after them, like all the time, bumping deer left and right. I never thought I was going to kill one tracking, but It's all that experience of going too fast that taught me, okay, time to put the brakes on, and like start really going slow and oh, he's going to be right here. You like feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up. You're like, oh, he's going to be right here. And then, that's the kind of stuff that you'll learn from going too fast. And you can kill bucks just going too fast, because sometimes you'll just be flying along, and as long as you have your head up and you're paying attention, he could be coming back down his track in la land because he's been out chasing does all night, or he could be hooking a tree, or who knows, but
have you noticed, like, doing the track jobs and all that kind of stuff, like what do you jump them, what do you bump them? Have you noticed them loop around to try and get your wind or anything like that? Like, have you noticed like how far they tend to run?
Yeah, so it depends where you are. If you're way up high on a mountain, they do like to try to get above you, and they'll kind of they'll run down off the mountain a little bit, and then they'll hook up around, and then they'll get way up high and watch where they came from. They'll do that a lot. They're really sneaky, clever, and but if you're in an area that's highly pressured, or if there's a shit ton of coyotes everywhere, if you jump them, they'll just run for like 2 miles or 3 miles in a straight line, But I think for me personally, now where I'm at as a tracker, when I jump them and don't get them, and it's not like 5 minutes till dark, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to kill that buck. I've killed a lot on the second go around just because, some guys will tell you to wait half an hour. Some guys will tell you blah, blah, blah. If you have enough time in the day, I always tell guys, wait an hour and a half. If you're near a road and you can get to your truck kind of quick, go down and get a sandwich and come back in 2 hours. The longer you give that buck, the better. Because that second go around after you jump them is really important. If you jump them twice, man, it's hard. But, I really like to jump. If I'm going to jump them at like, let's say 9 or 10 o'clock, give them a good hour, maybe 2, an hour and a half, something like that. And then when I get back on them, really play the cat and mouse game. And if you kind of time it correctly, you can get on him when he's up for the night. You see what I'm saying? So like he gets up at, let's say 3:30 and he starts milling, I'm going to kill him because I'm going to just sneak right up on him, nipping buds, and he's up for the night and he's about ready to go do whatever he's going to do all night, chase does around, look for does, fight bucks, whatever. And I mean, I think that's a really good strategy for guys to, implicate as long as they can cover the ground, because the hardest part is catching up once. That's the hardest, in my opinion, is just catching them. If you can catch them and you bump them once, if you can give them enough time and play the game correctly, the buck is 100% killable.
Now, what about, like, have you noticed them lay down at all? Is like after you jump them,
Yeah.
Will they lay down because they just sprinted and maybe they made back their safe, like the safe area that they're used to?
No, typically there is no like safe areas in the areas that they'll just kind of plop down wherever they have like a good vantage point, or they're high up on a mountain, or they just kind of plop down. It seems like almost just for whatever reason. But what I've noticed is they'll run for probably 500 yards and then they'll stop and they'll stand there for what looks like about 40 minutes to an hour or something like that. And you'll see all these footprints in the snow where he's standing there nervously waiting. And he's waiting and he's watching right on his tracks. He's watching and he's like, okay, I'm going to see. Are you after me? Or was that a coincidence?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then they'll wait right there. And as long as you don't come barreling down on that track, they will feed a little bit depending on the day and then plop back down again. So they'll just lay right back down like nothing happened. And I think in their mind it would just been a coincidental bump, like you weren't actually hunting them. Sometimes they know the gig's up. They know that you were following them, and they'll really set you up really good. Like they'll go through a really thick patch after they stand there for a long time, and they'll be just on the other side of the thick patch laying there. So to get to him, you have to break a shit ton of brush, move all this, you're like going through sideways, all the spruce and stuff. And he's already gone by the time you get through it. But he set you up. He was, but like one thing I'll do too, depending if I'm like high up on the mountain, I guess it's so situational. It's hard to, it's not one size fits all kind of answer. But what I'll do a lot, and I've killed bucks doing this, one of my biggest bucks tracking ever I killed doing this, was you jump them and then you think, okay, where could he be looping to? And you get off the track and you go to that point as quickly as you can and you stand there and wait. And if he doesn't come, well, you got to wait an hour anyway. So it's not like you're hurting anything by going there, So like one of the biggest bucks I've ever shot tracking, he went up through this section of the mountain and then he came back down it again in the same spot. And it was like this real tight passage up through these cliffy, way up high. And I jumped him not far from there and he went straight down off the mountain. And I was like, well, I'm going to book it back up to where he just went through twice in the last 12 hours. And when I got there, we met right on top like this and I shot him.
Yeah.
So it is doable. It's doable. You just have to take a guess and gamble. But
I imagine that just comes with time in the woods, like getting on multiple tracks and tracking deer in general. Because I've not every deer is the same. Like you could even for scouting wise, you can put all the time in scouting a deer and figure out his trail, his bed, his feeding, and all that kind of stuff, and he'll go a completely different route. Like it's even that trail that you just said about where he went up and down twice. Like you were there's a good chance he comes back down, but there's also a chance he goes another way.
Right.
So that's the enjoyment of it, is playing this chess game with these wild animals.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And what I've noticed over the years too, when I'm tracking these bucks, a lot of times I think when I'm tracking them, they've never been in the area I'm tracking them before. a lot of times they are just there because they're looking for a doe, and that's where they just ended up, and it's daylight, so they plop down. I very rarely ever see buck sign. Very, very rarely ever do I see any scrapes that are of any importance.
Mhm.
It's very random. Like they're just, like when guys go, oh, I hate the rut because where do they go? I'm where they go that time of year. They're out in the middle of nowhere looking for a hot doe, and they're just out in the mountains just perusing. I think it's even more extreme in the big mountains because they just go so far. They just go so far.
Yeah, it's so like during the rut, like it's I think people like this the you have the most chances of like
Yeah.
if you set up right, you set a right funnel, all that kind of stuff, especially in a heavy pressured state like Pennsylvania or Vermont or Michigan or anything like that. Like if you set up in the right spot where there's like a good funnel,
Yeah.
and other people are hunting other funnels that might not be as good or whatever, like there's a good chance something's going to come by you. Like it's
Yeah.
just a matter of ass time in a tree stand or
Yeah.
on the ground or just boot leather on the ground. Like especially during rifle season, like we had like there was multiple years where our rut kind of went into the opening day of rifle or like the opening weekend of rifle, and it was like that's how I shot my 1.9 point. It was like he was chasing does. Like it was just a matter of being right spot, right time, all that kind of stuff. Like tracking is kind of like you got to cross that track to start going after. So it's right place, right time. Like everything has to be right in that situation. Like you said, like there's not usually sign in that area when you're going in there.
No, yeah. Usually it's pretty random. Some of the best buck tracks I've ever found were just because I was in the area for the first time, and usually imagination's what leads me there. I'm like, oh, look at that big ridge up there. I bet you nobody's dumb enough to go look for a buck track up there. I'm like, I'm gonna go hike up there and see if I can find one. Now, I will say, very, 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 very rarely do the places that I track and the places that I bow hunt ever overlap.
Okay.
It's very different country. The areas that I bow hunt heavily are definitely more mass crop kind of stuff and more probably more populated with deer. And I actually do enjoy bow hunting the rut and that kind of stuff because I've gotten good at kind of picking up on like what I like to call a cruising area. Like you just kind of called it like picking a good funnel. But when I'm shed hunting in, let's say, an area with more mass crop and a higher deer density, if I can, let's say, find a thicker low area with really big historical sign from the past 20 years, chances are that's a really good buck. It's a really good place to kill a buck between November 10th and November 20th. Like it's like, but I've gotten good at kind of figuring out what that looks like and then hunting it. But it's a totally different ball game with the kind of the tracking territory and because tracking, you really need to have massive chunks of land with no borders and no posters. And it seems like the areas that are like that, there's not a lot of deer. And it also seems like those areas do get a lot more snow. So it kind of works in that favor.
I want to touch on this because I noticed in your videos you're calling, but then I want to go back to the archery thing that you just brought up because I want to have a conversation about it because I found an area like that. And it's like it got me fired up when I found that area.
Nice.
So when you're calling, I notice that you're walking and calling or making runs. So how long do you wait between each like kind of call to do that, or just random?
No, I mean, I guess I try to sound like a buck that's walking. Have you ever heard a buck when he's walking? He's like going, bruh, 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 like almost every step. That's kind of, I guess I try to mimic the way that I've seen bucks grunting that time of year. So I'll like, especially if it's really crunchy, I'll be crunching along, just blah, 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 grunt, 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 grunt. And then I'll like stop and listen. And if I hear something, I'll stay still and not move. But like, if not, I'll just keep going and grunting. because the biggest buck I ever shot tracking, I actually grunted him back. So I mean, and I've done it multiple times. But so it is a very, very. I mean, I'll wear a grunt tube out in a season. Especially, it seems like we have more crunchy days than we have quiet days now. So it's just one of those things you gotta just kind of just do it a lot, and hopefully, hopefully it works.
Yeah, I mean, because I talked to Steve Shirk, and he does a lot of blind calling. Like he does it when he's set up in a tree stand, he'll do it every 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
In there, because in hunting the big woods, like you do as well,
Mm-hmm.
you never know when a buck's going to come cruising by or anything like that. Like you could call 5 minutes, and 5 minutes later, that buck's finally cruising through again. Didn't hear your first call 5 minutes ago. So like it's one of those things that they communicate all the time. Like I heard it twice last season, and it was the one buck that I shot, couldn't recover. He was grunting coming in, and then the 5 point in the big woods, I did a call sequence. Then he came in, hit a scrape, and then was like burr, 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 going down the hill. So I mean, I heard it multiple times. It's like that's pretty cool to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of have a theory in the sense of a lot of guys think that calling in the big woods doesn't work because they've done it so much and it hasn't yielded anything. But I think it actually works better if you can have a buck hear you, because I think that's the hardest part, is having a buck hear you. Now, in, let's say, smaller woods where there's more pressure and a lot more deer, these deer have heard guys calling with a tipper can or blowing a grunt tube since they were a button buck, and they've kind of maybe become a little more keen to what's going on in that sense, and maybe they're a little more analytical with how things sound, or maybe I just think in the big woods, if you get close enough to one where he can hear you, I think it's deadly.
Oh yeah, in ag, like you just said, I never actually thought about it, but I have never once heard a buck grunt down here in the ag flatland, heavily pressured area, and I've seen multiple buck cruising, and it's like not once have I seen them grunt. I think it is like in the big woods they need to, because like they're trying to communicate with any deer that's nearby. When the deer density is not as high.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. I haven't thought of it like that. Yeah, they have to. It's like they're looking for the one other deer on the mountain. They're like, hello.
Yeah. Someone, I don't want to be alone out here anymore.
Yeah, please.
So I want to go back to the archery, because I'm not sure when this is going to be released, but like,
sure,
for me myself, like this is like part of doing a podcast, right? Like selfishly, I want to talk about this part because I found it. It's like, so describe these areas that you find, because what I found, it was like heavy trail, multiple scrapes, multiple big rubs, whip rubs, which like the size of your thumbs ripped apart, and then beds, bedding area, multiple deer jumped, like, and this was like summertime, springtime. I jumped them out of there.
Yeah, I think what I look for is like the big historical rubs. If I can find a lot of big historical rubs in one little tiny pocket, and I also have this thing that I've kind of figured out is I got really good at being like, okay, this area looks really good. I bet you it's good during the rut. I should put a camera here. And then I'd put a camera there, and then sure enough, there'd be big bucks going through there in the rut. So now I call it the game cam rule. If I think it's a really good place that I want to put a camera, I probably should just hunt it, because usually I'm right in the sense of, oh yeah, this is a rut spot. They're cruising through here, and a lot of times they go through once or maybe twice. So it's like, if you get a picture of the big buck there during the rut and you're not there, you're too late, So it's like, you got to go by that game camera rule that I've made for myself, is like, if I find a spot and I'm like, oh my God, this needs a camera, well, should probably be there too.
Now, are you putting that? Are you talking about the camera rule, like when you're in season scouting? Is that like what you're talking about? Like you find the hot sign, say you're in there like last week of October.
Yeah, but even if I find it shed hunting in March, if I find a spot and I'm like, oh my God, this needs a camera, then chances are, like a rut camera, I mean, like if it's like, oh yeah, this is a cruising spot, I just need to be there. Cause like a lot of the way I run cameras is I very, very, very rarely will hunt off of cameras in season. I really like it for the historical aspect. And like, I do have some cell cameras as well for like out of state stuff. But I think that the best thing that cell cameras, the best thing I think they do for me is they tell me when to be in the woods. You know what I mean? Cause like when I start, cause I can tell you, I'll tell you the days that it's on. Because it's on in Massachusetts, it's on in Vermont, and it's on in New Hampshire. It's on in the entire Northeast.
Yeah.
So like you can totally see it, and I'm sure it's on in Pennsylvania on those days too, for whatever reason that may be. I'm not really sure. I'm not a scientist, but I do know when it's happening. You'll start getting pictures of does running full bore with their tails up, and then you'll get a big wide buck coming through at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, okay. It's time, like I gotta be in the woods. But I really like to run the cameras for the historical data and year to year, because I've really been able to pick up on the time frames that are really good in certain areas, because it always seems to be the same every year. And then also I like to run them because I can pinpoint the areas with the big deer.
Yeah.
Like, because up here, it's not like you can just hunt any ridge. Like there's a 50,000 acre chunk near my house that I've photographed bucks for 5+ years, and they've never broke 100 inches, 100% the same deer. So, there's a lot of that up here too. There's a lot of areas that they'll never produce big bucks. So you have to figure out the areas with the good genetics and the areas that produce, because I don't know if PA is the same way, but in the Northeast, there's certain areas that produce better antlers than others.
Oh yeah.
And with the historical data that you'll get from your trail cameras, you can really hone in on those areas.
Yeah, I definitely, that's the last 2 years is like, that's why I started running, how I'm running trail cameras too, is like to build that historical data. Because before, when I first got them, I was like, oh, I'm checking them every 2 weeks, doing that. It was like, okay, now I got to hunt this area. But really, like, you're already behind at that point. Like, you're checking every 2 weeks, like that buck was there, that doe, whatever, like was in heat at 2 weeks ago. Right. And it's like, okay, I got to hunt this area. I got to find this area. Like, I was chasing my tail with that. And then it's like, when you use it just for historical data, like, I'm probably not even going to check those cameras unless I hunt near those cameras during the season.
Right.
Or like in rifle season, I'll just go walk and I'll just check the cameras and, hopefully jump a buck or track one down, one of the two. Like, that's 100% what I think cameras, like, from a personal preference, that's what I think cameras should be used for. Like, because like you said, like, you can't hunt the camera because then you're already behind.
Yeah, no, and I mean, there's some guys out there that'll argue that and say that they've had bucks that do the same thing for 10 days in a row, and it's like, well, maybe that's true. I just haven't seen it. A lot of times, if I get a picture of a big buck in the daylight in November, if I'm not there, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's just it's the window of opportunity is now passed, and you have to now try to catch them somewhere else.
And here is this is a prime example. So I have not the buck that I'm targeting, but like he was there the same day, November 1st. All right. He went through 7 a.m. There was another buck that came through that was probably bigger than him. Came through November 1st at 7:30, 8 a.m. Didn't have another picture of him until 7 p.m. that night going back down the mountain. So like that area that he was going to, where there's a bunch of doe bedding, that area was hot November 1st. Now I could have seen it, be like, okay, I'm going to go back in here. Yeah. Right. I wouldn't have seen anything because that area was hot November 1st all day. And then he went back down to where he was hiding the rest of the year. So like, it's like, if I went off that camera alone, if I had a cell cam in that area and I saw that, like, oh, I got to get up there. But now that I have that historical data, it's like, okay, November 1st in this area that he's going to, that's where I want to be November 1st. Doesn't matter, because people don't really people shoot doe up there during rifle, but yet I don't think there's a ton of doe being shot back in the area that he was going to.
Right.
It's very hard access, long miles, like, and the old timers don't really want to go back in there because it's too thick, put it that way. And
Yep.
it's like, man, going back in there, like if he's back in there, there's bound to be other big buck in that area as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you could probably kill one out of there every year on November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. And once you start to really pick up on the year to year stuff. I mean, I've had big bucks walk down a ridge on November 4th,
Mm-hmm.
just after daylight. Never had another picture of them again. The very following year, November 4th, same friggin' day on the calendar, even November 4th, right after dark, here he comes again.
Yep.
You know, it's like amazing that they'll do stuff year to year like that, but they really do. They really do. I've seen it. So, I mean, it's a real thing. The historical data is a real thing. And I know Steve Shirk is a huge advocate for the historical data. And, you know, he's onto something there because it's so true.
Yeah.
You know, the window is small, but if you can figure it out, it's deadly.
Yeah. Expect like the doe family, even like the offsprings, they'll usually come in around the same time frame too. So it's like even if that mom was shot, the fawn that they had most likely will come in around the same time frame. Even if she shot that prior year, those bucks don't know that she was shot. So they're still going to come that area and look for her in that area.
I mean, why do you think grandfathers pass down good spots to their grandsons and their grandsons continue to shoot bucks in the same spot? I don't think some guys maybe put it together in that sense. Oh, grandpa always used to kill a buck on this ridge every year for opening weekend, and now I'm doing it. It's like, well, yeah, because it's like that's where it's happening right then, right there, every year. You know?
Yeah, it's funny because like up my old cabin in Clinton, the guy we were in the cabin with, he always had his spot that he would go to, and every year he would shoot a nice buck out of that spot because it was just the funnel with the pressure from everyone else walking in. It funneled a deer through there, and you know, when you kill one buck out of an area, another buck will probably move in because he feels safe in that area as well.
Right. Yeah. If it's a good spot for a big buck to be, chances are, yeah, there's going to be another one taking his spot.
Mm-hmm. What would be like so for tracking in general, what would be the biggest advice you give someone for tracking? Like, because I think the draw to tracking for myself is like in your videos that I watch, it's exploring new areas, like going to new areas and just exploring and getting out of like not the mundane stuff, but like the same stuff you've been seeing pretty much all year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess so. The biggest advice I would give to somebody getting into tracking, can we widen it to just hunting the big woods in general?
Absolutely.
I've kind of thought about this recently today, thinking about what I would say. And I think there's three things, and they're all kind of connected. If you want to be a good big woods hunter, you want to be a good tracker, there's three things that you need to focus on. And that's physical fitness, mental toughness, and not being afraid of the dark. Because I think I honestly don't even worry about hunting. If you can just get those three things down, like if you can truly be physically fit, mentally tough, you're willing to be a little uncomfortable at times, and you're truly not afraid of the dark, you are going to go so much further than 95% of men out there hunting. I mean, it is just the truth, you know, and some guys are looking for that one answer. I'm telling you, that's as close to the answer as you're going to get, in my opinion.
You aren't wrong. And I'll tell you one thing, no matter how manly you are, the dark will F with you. Like it will, because like I remember this past season, I was set up in a tree. Now, granted, this could lose some listeners right here, but like, you know, I'm set up in a tree. It's pitch black, right? Yep. And I look up, and then all of a sudden, like, it looks like there's something flying in the sky, then it just disappears. So in my mind, you know, UFO. I think UFO right away. I'm like, I am never coming the F back in here again. Like,
I am about to be probed.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, like you gotta have, like, that goes to the mental toughness part of things too. It's like,
Yeah.
You got to be mentally tough to push past it. Like, okay, yeah, I had a situation that was a little eerie, still
Sure.
went back there anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of guys talk themselves out of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are afraid of the dark. They're like, oh man, you know, I came down a little early just because it's 2 miles, and I don't want to do that 2 miles. Dude, it's like, get a headlamp, get a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. It's actually very peaceful walking in the woods in the night. You know, you have to become comfortable with the dark, because if you want to be a good deer hunter, that's what you need to be. You need to be comfortable. I mean, what are you going to do? Shoot a big buck in the afternoon and then run out because it's going to get dark?
Yeah,
No,
it's true.
it's gonna get dark. Start dragging, call your buddies, have them help, or what, you know, like whatever. But it's just one of those things. I think being afraid of the dark and mental toughness definitely correlates, but
Mm-hmm.
then also, in the same sense, being physically fit. If you're, I know for me, the more physically fit I am, the more mentally tough I am. So
Yes.
it actually all relates all the way across the board. You know, if you're not in shape, the mountains seem a lot bigger and
Yeah.
everything's a lot harder, you know? So
When I remember like this past season, like when I felt really good, when I was in shape, when I was working out, when I was running, you know, lifting, all that kind of stuff, I went in there because the mental side of things, you know, you had the thermals, you had the wind, you were figuring out in your head, you got
Mhm.
set up. I felt confident that day.
Mhm.
You know, it didn't pan out because like my shot wasn't right on this buck. You know, the buck ended up surviving, but it's
Yep.
like everything was because of my physical fitness and because I was able to get there, not break a sweat, not be mentally drained getting in there. It's like I was able to do that and hunt that, right?
Yeah.
And like that was from dark to dark. Like
Yeah.
from I shot him at 8 a.m. I was in the woods till 8 p.m. looking for him and walking out in the dark. So it's like, you know, we owe it to these animals to be able to do that. Like if you can't be in there till dark, like you shouldn't, I hate to say it, but like you shouldn't be hunting necessarily then, especially if you want to shoot a big one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of guys look for the, you know, that one answer on how they're going to kill big deer, and they want the tactic, or they want the gadget, or the thing that's going to make it happen. And it's like, these guys just need to realize they just need to be, you know, they just need to be a little tougher. You know? Like it's sometimes you're gonna be cold and you're gonna be
Yes.
thirsty and you're gonna be hungry, but you're gonna live. You're gonna
Yep.
walk out and you're gonna be just fine. And that water is gonna taste even better when you get out. And
Yes.
maybe that cold beer when you get get home is gonna taste even better because you just suffered through the day. But
Yep.
I think you have to be willing to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed that Marines usually make really great deer hunters?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that just goes to show you those guys are animals, and that's why they're so good at it, is because they're more than willing to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a very funny trend I've kind of noticed over the years. You see a guy that's an ex-Marine, he's usually stacking up big bucks every year. So
I've noticed it too. Like even like this past season, like I've seen people leaving the woods early, and I'm like,
yep.
what? Like we were walking in to go look for that buck, and one guy was leaving the woods at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And like you still had like there was still like a good hour and a half. Well, no, if he was leaving at 4, it didn't really get dark in the early season, October 25th till almost 7.
Yeah.
Or 6:30 or 7, something like that. But like you had a good like 2 hours yet to hunt.
Yeah.
Like if I understand if you got to leave to go do family stuff, I get
Sure.
that, right? But like if you're leaving because like, oh, it's a long ride out on the bike, or it's like
Yep.
all that kind of stuff,
Dark.
it's like man, like I remember my first ride out in the dark on that trail with my bike. One, my headlamp, I didn't realize that it needed new batteries in it. And I was like, man, this headlamp is like really dim. Like what's going on right now? Put new batteries in it, it brights up the whole woods, right?
Yeah.
It's like make sure you got new batteries in your headlamp too every season.
Oh yeah, man. I got some funny stories being caught in the dark. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's like you have to become comfortable with it. And there's a lot of men out there that hunt that are afraid of the dark and are
Mhm.
never ever going to tell you because it's a pride thing. But you need, if you're listening to this and you're one of those guys, it's very normal. It's very, I think it's actually human nature in a lot of ways to be afraid of what you can't see. So I'm not saying that you're wrong for being afraid of the dark, but there's ways to get comfortable with it. Like the way I'm very lucky in the sense that my dad started taking me in the woods when I was a toddler. So I'm actually more comfortable in the woods in the dark than I probably am at like a concert in a crowd of people. Like, you know what I mean? I don't love being in big crowds, but I'm very comfortable in the woods, even in the dark. But you have to figure out ways to become comfortable with it. And the way that I would probably suggest doing it is this time. Well, we're recording in July right now, but in the summer, start going like on the weekends, on Saturday night, maybe when you get back from dinner with your wife or, your girlfriend, maybe you guys go for a walk on a hiking trail in the dark and, do it every, a couple times a week. And eventually, as you do it, you're going to realize, okay, yeah, it's just the woods. It's just dark. I mean, it's nothing's going to get you. Nothing. I mean, it's the same as the day. It's not like we have mountain lions and wolves all around here. It's like, there's bears and stuff, but I think bears are more afraid of you than you are them. You know?
Yeah. I mean, even like, I don't condone getting between a mom and her cubs at all.
No.
But like, I did that and I'm okay. Like they ran away. So it's like, I do agree. Bears are more afraid of us than we are of them. Coyotes, I can see why people would be scared of them because like when they start howling all around you, I 100% get that. I've been there before. It's not necessarily something you want to be stuck in the woods in the pitch black. But yet also we have weapons. We have a bow and we have a rifle. So it's like, especially during rifle season, like I have absolutely no fear in rifle season. Like I have a 270 Remington. I have absolutely no fear.
You are the top of the food chain.
Right. There's
promise you. There is nothing out there that tops that 270 in a human being's hands.
Right.
It's it's just one of those funny things. And like I did a seminar a couple years ago at one of the shows in Vermont, and that was like the big thing that I hit on. And I don't ever hear any guys like talk about it. And I feel like it's so overlooked in the sense of you can up your game so much if you just stay in that good spot until you can't see. Because I'm telling you, I'm sure you've noticed it. Usually it's like the last 2 minutes of daylight that those things come walking by, so it's like, just sit it out, man. Walk out in the dark.
Especially those big boys. They will come through the last 2 minutes. Like I've always thought of that, especially like, I need to get more lights to take in, not just my headlamp. Obviously, I want to get like those. I forget what they're called. That string light that I think I've seen the hunting public and other people hang them up around like when they're quartering up a deer. They hang them up around there. Some kind of string light it is. But like, if I get like, I've always thought like, man, if I shoot one this late at night, what am I gonna do? It's like I gotta just do it. Gotta quarter them up. Gotta get them out of here, right? Like it's like something you gotta do. So I might as well get, because those string lights they like pack up very small and they could easily go in like my side pocket easy. It wouldn't be hard at all. Even maybe in your bino harness they could go.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. It's just making you more comfortable for when it happens. I mean, and giving you that much more confidence. And it goes, the dark thing too goes for tracking. Track until dark. Because I've killed a lot of bucks like right at dark tracking, but a lot of guys will stop at 2:00 and they'll start, I'm 2.5 miles from the truck. It's like, yeah, you're going to be maybe 2.5 or 3 when it's dark. But I mean, it's like, maybe you're going to be 5. It still doesn't matter. You could walk 30. I promise you, as long as you don't have like some serious health condition, you can walk a long ways.
I really think like what got me kind of into, not necessarily enjoying being in the dark, but like tolerating it is like my dad. I remember him specifically getting out in the woods and it's like pitch black outside. Right. Yeah. It's like there was a point where I started hunting by myself when he was in the woods and we would meet back in the truck, I would purposely make sure that I'd be like, I want to be the last one out of the woods. Like I want him to get the truck, be like, where's Cody at? Right. Like, so I was like, I have to be the last one to get back in the truck.
Yep. No, that's good. I mean, hey, he taught you well.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. I mean, you want to do good at it. You guys, and going in the morning too. I mean, you got to be willing to walk out in the dark, you know.
But that's the fun part. Like going in the dark in the morning.
Yeah.
The moon, the stars, man. It's like when you get up in that tree and you can look up and it's completely dead silent. Like, or if you're, primarily in archery season, because if you're tracking, you want to be able to see
what
you're tracking. But like in archery season, man, when you're up in that tree, when you get up there, you all set up and then you have an hour, 45 minutes, half an hour, whatever, and you just look up and you're like, man, this is so cool. Like just looking up at the stars and just it's completely quiet, no bugs, no birds, nothing.
If every human being could experience that thing right there that you're talking about, the world would be a better place. Because it's such a like, I don't know, it's like a deeper type of thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, it's like very, like it almost hits on like a primal type thing. It's like being out there, it's quiet, usually I'll have a thermos of coffee with me. I'll crack that thing open, start drinking coffee. I'm like, wow, this is pretty good.
Yeah. It's the best part other than actually getting the animal down and taking him back, like, and then cracking a beer when you get him back. Like that's right. That's close. That's a close second. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's what it takes to be a good deer hunter. You actually have to enjoy the entire process. You have to truly enjoy the long walks out in the dark. You have to truly enjoy the 45 minutes of darkness in your tree. Like if you don't value that stuff, you're never gonna reach that goal, as much as the guy who enjoys it, because he's just gonna be doing it just because he likes to do it. I mean, what's that saying? I can never think of it, or the quote. The man who loves to walk. The quote? The man. Man,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one that is.
It's the man who loves to walk will. Yeah, I can't think of it. I'm gonna look it up right now. It pisses me off every time. I always want to say the quote on a podcast, and I can never think of it.
A man who walks the furthest.
Something like that.
The man who walks the furthest. Man. The
man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. That's it.
That's a good quote.
And that's a real quote, because it's you have to love the whole process. You have to find joy in the days that you get your teeth kicked in and it's raining sideways and you're, hiking out. You're like, well, I still conquered the day. I still stuck it out there and was, willing to fight for it. You have to find joy in the whole process.
I could not agree anymore. And we've been going for about an hour and a half now, and it's been a great conversation. Yeah, where can people go watch your YouTube videos, follow you on Instagram, all that kind of good stuff?
So my YouTube channel is just my name. It's Izaak Young, and funny spelling, but Izaak, and then Young is spelled like Young should be. And my Instagram is the same, just my name, Izaak Young. And the podcast that I do with my good buddy Morgan Gouveia is The Big Buck Theory.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here. Fun chat, and
it was fun.
We'll meet up sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. You have to come up and do some tracking. I think I'm going to PA soon.